Hiya, it's Hannah the Artisan Duck, and I am back with a polymer clay tutorial. I thought we'd get started with Christmas crafting. So I have these cookie cutter shapes that I've bought, and I don't make cookies, so I thought I'd use them with clay. I really like the shape of this one, and I had the idea that I wanted to make something really ornate and really fancy, and this is what I've come up with. I will say it's not a 5-minute craft. This is something you want to spend your time on, and you get a lot, but the results are worth it. You get a lovely finish. So I've got some Primo Accents clay in antique gold. I have these Swarovski Hot Fix crystals. The idea is they've got, if I can pick one up, they've got a little bit of glue on the back, not that you'll probably be able to see it, so that when you pop it in the oven, the glue will melt and stick to your clay. That's the idea. There you go. I've also got my cookie cutter. The clay is rolled out in a number 3, so it's not super thin, but it's also not too thick because we're going to build it up with other clay. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is get my clay cutter, and I'm just going to pop it down, and I'm not going to press it all the way through. I don't want to cut the shape, but I do want to sort of get a rough idea as to where I'm working. So just rock it to and fro so you get just a gentle outline. You can just see there very faintly the outline of my shape, and I'm going to start by building up with the crystals. So I want to get the placement sorted so I know exactly where they're going to go. So I'm going to follow the same pattern, so the sort of in lines like this, going down to just one at the bottom. So it might take me some time because I like to faff with this to make sure I'm totally happy. Also, the gems keep running away from me, so I probably won't make you watch me intricately do this. I'll be back in a second when I'm happy with the placement of them. Right, there we go. I think I'm reasonably happy with the placement of those. I'm just going to gently start pressing them in, just because I don't want them skidding around if I can avoid it. There we go. Right, so the next thing I've done is I've already run through on my extruder on this teeny tiny disc here to get these super fine snakes of clay. So we're going to take one of them, and again I won't make you watch every step of this. I'll just show you how I do it, and then there we go, and then we can fast forward the rest of it. So I'm going to start in the middle, and sort of the middle from that gem there, I'm going to run it from the outer edge, and I'm going to overlap because when I cut it out I don't want any spaces where I've missed the end pieces off. And I'm dipping down between, just try and show you on this one, it looks confusing, but you can just see it's like a swirl, so it goes like in a little wave up and around those stones. So grab yourself a little tool if you've got one, a little ball tool would work, anything like that, and you're just going to shape it around these stones. Whoops. So use your finger to help guide it, and you can go up and down like that. You want the dip to be in the centre between the two stones because you're going to join it up in a minute. Like so. I can't talk and do this. Concentration is real. So like I say, if you've got a ball tool, anything that you can use to just help guide this clay around, and don't push it down and stick it down until you're really happy with the placement of it. So I'm going to go and do all of these, and I'll come back and show you when I'm done. Just to say, I've finished that row. When you come back to do the second row, this is just purple glitter from the last one I made, of course. When you go to the lower half, get the first piece so these two are touching at the side. I'm hoping you can see enough of what I'm doing. Yeah, so put these two so they're touching at the side, and then try and make it so that the bit in the middle also touches here, like that, so that when you've got your pattern, you've got the meeting in the middle and swirling around like that. Right, I shall crack on. There we go, there's all our little detail there added. I'm just going to use my finger now and just press it down. I mean, I'm not pressing it too hard, I just want it to stick. Right, now it gets really fiddly. We're going to make each individual swirl, which is going to sit inside each of the waves. So, I don't know if you can see, they do vary in size depending on where they are. I just basically made them to fit, but tried to keep them sort of relatively consistent all the way through. So, just need to get another little worm of clay, and I'll show you how to get started, and then I'll dash off and make the rest. So, take the end of your clay and just roll it slightly, just to thin that point a little bit, and then you just need to start rolling it like that. It's very hard to do looking through a camera, but start rolling it. And then I found it was almost easier once you'd started it just to pop your finger on it like that and to get the clay, the length of clay, and just to start, oops, or whichever way, doesn't really matter, but just to start pulling it round like this, and that would then start the swirl shape for you. And once it was big enough, you just cut the end off sort of a little way down like that, and then get the very end and just roll your finger on it just to thin it out. And I always use this little tool, but you can then just push the end up and you get, if I can pick it up, seemingly not, you get a little coil like that. And all you do is find where it's going to go on your clay, oops, and then you just pop it into position. So I'm going to go off and do all of that because it's relative. This bit is the most time consuming bit of all. So I'll go off and do that and come back and show you when I'm done. There we go, there's our finished clay with these swirls added. And now we're going to go on and add these little details sort of between the swirls and down each side of the crystal. So all you do is take your snake of clay, one of these, and just cut some pieces off and then roll them into balls. And just choose the size that best fits the crystal. So here's one of them. You can see that I've already done, and I'm just going to pop it down the side of the crystal. I'll do the same on the other side. Move that out of the way. There you go, there's one down each side of this crystal, and then take another one and you're going to pop it on the top where the swirls are, so it's like you got the little piece in the middle. So I'm going to go along and I'll fill all those gaps in and come back and show you when I'm done. There we go, all the details been added. So now I'm going to go in, I'm just going to move my craft blade out of the way. It's a recipe for disaster. I'm going to go in with a relatively small ball tool. Go like that. And I'm just going to start off by pressing into the centre of each of the balls that we've just added. So straight down, and it'll just give it like a little cup shape at the top, like that. And then we're going to go down, see if I can zoom in for you to see. There you go. So just take your tool and just press down. Like that. And this sort of indenting it will just help hold the crystals in place, because as the clay hardens and the glue melts, it'll all work together to hold those crystals firm. So I'm going to go along and do all those, and then I'll come back and show you the next bit. There we go, all that's been added. And now, you don't necessarily have to do this bit if you don't want to, but you know, I like to make life a little bit more complicated. Each one of these has got a little detail in them as well. So all I did was follow the line across with your dotting tool, and I'll just do it over here so I can show you. You're just going to go in and just press gently into the clay. And you can see the little detail you get, and when I get to the crystals I'll push it upwards like that. Again, it'll help to just hold that crystal in place. So I shall crack on with that. There we go. It's a subtle little difference, but it does make a difference. So just zoom you back out again. The next bit we need to add is the detail at the top. So these bits here to show where the top of the ornament is, and this is really simple. If you find the indent that your cutter made, you can go straight across like that and cut off the excess. And then just keep on building that up until you have reached the top, and you know, overlap and give yourself a good amount of height at the top, so you've got room to cut if you haven't quite got the imprint right, or you don't cut it exactly where you've made the impression. You know, things do change. So yeah, just keep going. Alright, there we go. So the next step is to cut the shape out. So I've got my cutter and I'm going to line it up. So I want the top of these strips to line up with the top of the cutter, and I want to make sure it's all centralised. So I shall go ahead and do all that. And then push down when you're happy. And if you don't have a bauble stamp, you could just do this with a round cutter and just poke a hole in it and put your ribbon on or whatever. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy. I'm just going to pull the excess off at the side, make sure I've cut it properly. I don't want to lift it until I know I've definitely cut the shape out. There we go. Lift it up. There we go, there's our little bauble shape. So I've got this small circular cutter, and I'm going to take this and just cut my hole out at the top so we can hang our ribbon. There we go. And next we're going to wrap around these bands because we're going to build it up so we've got like an edge here to stop this liquid clay from running over the edges. So you just take your long snakes that you made before, make sure you've got a nice straight end on one of them, the top, there we go. And then we're going to start from the top. So on here I started, you can just see the little marks. So just start at the top, position it round, because once you put your ribbon on you're not going to see it anyway. And if you can see, I've got things rolling around the desk at me. There you go, so just go like that, and then you're just going to build it up, push it down and drag it around the edge, and you're going to do it 3 times, and you're going to do each layer one on top of the other. You get yourself a little tool, ball tool, anything you've got, and just press it in, get yourself into the spaces, into the corners like that. Make sure it's touching the tile on the first one, and I actually find it easier eventually to pick it up, and so you can look at it close up like that and just wrap it round. I shall be back in a minute once I've done that. Right, once you've wrapped that clay round once, go back to where you started from, and where the clay meets, I'm not sure you're going to see on the camera, I can just see where one ends and the other one starts. So you just cut the clay as straight as you can, and then you can just take your tool or your finger and just gently nudge it into place. There you go, like that. And then we're going to start all over again, and we're going to build on top of this row. Right, so you're just going to take your next snake of clay, pop it right on top, press it down, and then press it down like that, and then follow it round. This one's a bit easier because you're just putting it on top of the first one that you did. There we go. And I should be back when I've done it. Right, for the third row, you're going to start it off exactly the same, so you're going to put one on top of the other, but this one now may peep over the top of the clay, so you're just going to have to follow the line that you've already got and just try your best to keep the shape. It's not as tricky as it sounds. So just use your finger to guide it around, and I should be back when that's done. Right, there we go, there's our 3 layers of clay. And now, just because I would like a little bit of extra sparkle, but this is not essential, I'm going to use Perfect Pearls in Heirloom Gold, and I'm just going to give a really light dusting onto all the detail work, the scroll work and the top. It just brings out a little bit more shine, and I'll just whip it around the sides as well. I'm not going to take this off the tile now, this is going to stay on the tile, and I'll pop it in the oven in the tile. I don't want to risk disturbing any of this work, so just going to get a bit of the Perfect Pearls and just gently, and you can just, it just starts to highlight the detail a little bit as well. Makes a really subtle but pretty difference to the clay. But I say, if you don't have the Perfect Pearls, it's not an essential step at all. So I shall just do this and be back when I've done it. Right, now it's time for our lovely, you can see the glitter, purple glitter here. We're going to move on to this, and this is the last step now. So all you need is some, I use liquid Fimo, I'm sure there's other options out there, but this is what I use. And I've just got some craft glitter. This is what I've had from when I used to make cards. It's nothing special, there's no branding on it or anything, it's just a plain old glitter. And then I've got something, this is plastic, and you can clean this out with just like a wet tissue. So I use something like this to mix my liquid clay and my glitter in, and then I've got this, which is just a basic lollipop stick that I'm going to use for mixing. And again, I just clean them off when I'm finished. I don't throw it away, I just clean it off, and I'm going to use the very fine end on my ball tool and that's just going to help me push the liquid clay into some of the little tighter spaces. So you just get your clay, liquid clay that is. I'm taking the top off so I can pour some out, and this is going to go straight into here. And if you don't mix enough to start with, you can always go back and mix more, like that. And then I'm going to take my glitter, and careful how I open it. I know you can't see it quite, but I'm opening it above the spoon just to catch any little bits. And I'm just going to pour that in. And you need a reasonable amount of glitter, because when you come to spread it on, you don't want like a lot of bald patches. So just get your lollipop stick and just gently mix it all in. And it feels quite thick, but you don't want it too runny because that could be very difficult to control. It looks okay. If you start to spread it on, and as you're spreading it around, it looks, you know, too see-through, you can see lots of the gold clay underneath it, you can just come in and add a little bit more glitter. So I'm just going to start off by showing you, and then I shall carry it on, maybe fast forward it for you to see. But I've got some on my lollipop stick. I'll zoom in, and you can see it's not like, it's reasonably thick, it's not running anywhere. So I'm just going to tip some on. I really want to be able to show you what I'm doing. And then I'm just going to use this little end and just start moving it around. And I've got wet tissue off to the side, so if it gets messy or whatever, I can clean it off quickly. But a bit of stray glitter here and there never hurt anybody, especially not at Christmas time. So I'm just using it almost like a paintbrush to just guide it down, and it's so thick it tends to just go where you want it to. And then you use it, and you're going to use this finer point and just nudge it up into the tighter areas, and it will creep up onto that gold clay, and it doesn't matter. Right, so I shall maybe either fast forward or come back, whatever. I'll come back and show you when I've done it. Right, there we go. It's all glittered up and ready to go in the oven. So that's what I'm going to do, and I shall be back when this is varnished and ready and all that good stuff. All right, I shall see you soon. There we go, there's the finished ornament. I've popped a ribbon on the top and I've given 2 coats of varnish on the top just to really bring out the shine on, particularly on the liquid Fimo, because it has a slightly dull finish when you've got it straight out the oven. But yeah, so a bit of varnish brings it right up, but it's super sparkly and ready to go on the Christmas tree. Anyway, I shall put some links below for some of the products I've used in case you're interested. They may be affiliate links, but I will indicate if they are. And I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe please if you'd like to see any more. I'm planning several more tutorials, Christmassy ones, for the next few weeks. All right, until next time, see ya, bye.